Hi everyone, welcome to Energy Conversations with Ramps Logistics. My name is Jamal Allen. I am the HSSE manager for Ramps Logistics. We are here at AmCham's 27th annual HSE conference, and I'm honored to have with us today Kym Bancroft, the featured speaker for this HSE conference. Kym's focus on our presentations would be around human and organizational performance, and I'm happy to have her here. Kym?
Thank you, Jamal. Thanks for having me along. I'm thrilled to be at the conference, thrilled to have delivered the keynote on day one. I'm looking forward to day two tomorrow.
Kym, so tell us a little bit about yourself and your HSE journey.
Sure. So I've worked in safety my whole career, so over 20 years. I think I'm a bit of a safety nerd, Jamal. I like reading safety books. I do that in my spare time. That's a little bit sad, but I absolutely love safety. I'm really passionate about health and safety, and I'm passionate about going into organizations and helping them transform their approach to safety so they can get better results. So we hurt less people come to work and enjoy the work they do, and we have less fatalities. So I started out my career working in safety culture, doing safety culture transformation. I did that for a very long time. And then I moved into being a head of health and safety for a couple of different organizations. And then I thought to myself, the pinnacle of my career is to be a safety regulator. So I actually got the role of a safety regulator in Australia, but it wasn't my dream role after all. So I was in that role for a short time, and now I've gone back to doing safety culture transformation and working with companies who want to be innovative and contemporary in how they approach safety.
Nice. So it's your first time in Trinidad, as I understand. How are you liking it so far?
I love Trinidad. I can't wait to try more of the food and go and see more of Trinidad. Everyone is so friendly. It's a very beautiful country. You're very lucky to live here.
You have had doubles already?
No, doubles is on Thursday, but you must tell me what doubles is, Jamal. I still don't really know. Should I be excited?
You should be very excited.
Okay, I'm excited for doubles.
So Kym, as I would have introduced, your focus is on HOP. Can you tell the audience a little bit about what HOP is?
Yeah, so in the last couple of decades, this is not something that's really new, right? So in the last couple of decades, we've had things come into the safety industry, evolve, emerge, like high reliability organizations, HRO, which has come from the nuclear and aviation industry. Then we've had safety differently, safety 2, the new view of safety, and HOP. So what all of those things are really a set of theories and ideologies which drive how we approach safety, how we think about safety, how we do safety in our organizations, how we think about our people, the way in which we learn, the way in which we investigate, the way in which we audit. So it really underpins our whole of safety approach.
I was reading your article on LinkedIn with regards to HOP or not. And I was trying to understand the difference, especially for the audience, between human performance, where a lot of organizations focus on right now, and HOP. Where is the difference, and how is that journey to transition from one to the other?
Sure. What did you take from the article, Jamal, in terms of the difference? Did it answer that question for you?
It did. What I took from it is that HP is the starting point. Mm-hmm. And it takes some time to understand how to get from HP to HOP. And a lot of organizations focus on, how can we say, human error, and the aspects of how humans can fail, but not a holistic view as to how the organization plays a role in those human errors.
That's correct. So I think you've hit the nail on the head there. So HP is really that starting point, and HOP is really expanding it out. So we're going further now than where we did with human performance. And to your point, we are starting to take more of a holistic view and a more of a broader understanding. So I believe that HP still has its place, it still has applicability, but now we're evolving more, I guess, to HOP, expanding our understanding.
Is it a difficult transition, you would say?
No, I don't think it's a difficult transition at all. No, I don't think so. I think a lot of organizations have been doing behavior-based safety, then they did cognitive behavioral safety. We keep evolving our approaches over time, learning more, doing better.
What would you see as a key factor in accomplishing HOP as an organization, or being successful at HOP?
It's a really good question, Jamal. So I would say some of the key factors would be to consider a change management approach. So don't just say we're going to do HOP. Think about how you change and do change management inside your organization. So the first thing you do is set a compelling case for change. So what would be a reason why your organization would want to do HOP? Is your safety performance plateauing? Are you hurting too many people? Have you had some fatalities? Is there frustrations there? So I would build that case for change, if you like, and present that to your leadership. And then what I would do is I would look for, what's that vision? Where do we want to get to? How is HOP going to help us get to that vision? So go through those stages of change first and build out a safety strategy to take your organization on that journey of HOP. So spend a lot of time, visioning, discovering, being thinking high level, being creative and strategizing, if you like, about how you're going to do this.
And I like how you mentioned it's not always about learning from failures, but your safety management system may have plateaued. And sometimes it plateaus in a good place. And you may think you're doing fine, no incidents this year, no LTIs. But what then drives the need for that change? Is it just having that learner's mindset and that continuous need to?
Yeah, so I think HOP gives you that mindset to continuously improve. But what it does is, what's really important that you do is operationalize it, so put it into practice. So for example, you might see that you've got a safety management system that's really bloated, there's too much in it, nobody reads it, you can't access it. So actually maybe you need to reduce some of that safety clutter. Maybe you need to start doing learning teams to learn better. So it's taking the HOP principles and turning them into practical tools that you can use inside your workforce. Now, here's the catch though. What works inside my organization might not be the same for yours because your organization is entirely different and has different challenges. So the first thing you should do is do some discovery. Go and speak to your frontline workforce and ask them what's frustrating them. And then you can decide how we're going to put this into practice.
And I'm glad you mentioned learning teams because you had an excellent features talk this morning on learning teams. That was very insightful, and it was interesting to note that it's not only when you have failures or accidents that you could use learning teams, but also when you just plan to grow, you have processes that seem to not be working fine. How would you encourage organizations, especially at the smaller scale, to use learning teams? Is it something very technical? Is it something very hard? How do we get that going?
Sure. I think any organization can use it, and I like your point. I've used it more proactively than I have reactively, to your point. So how can any organization get started? Well, the first thing to do would be to assess whether there's appetite for it. So, is your executive team, your leaders, is there interest in doing learning teams? Can you see the need for it, right? And then I would go and do some kind of training to get your people, some of your people, like your safety team, yourself, some of your team, skilled in actually how to run a learning team. And there's lots of people that do that training out there. So get some in-house capability or bring in some capability and then give learning teams a go. So actually go and run it and see how it fits for your organization. See if people liked it. What did you gain from it? So it's almost like you're going to run a micro experiment. You're not going to run learning teams everywhere. You're just going to do it in one small little area and see how it fits your organization.
Understood. I know you have a talk tomorrow on the legal side of HOP. Can you touch on that a bit without giving away too much?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of people like the idea of doing something innovative and contemporary in safety. Okay, so it feels good, we're at the cutting edge here. However, one objection you might get from some people in your organization, they might say, well, Jamal, this sounds great in theory, but is it going to make us less compliant? And you need to be able to answer that question because you don't want to, as the safety manager, bring in something that's going to make your organization less legally compliant. So it's a really important question for us to explore and to look at, is HOP going to make us less compliant or more compliant?
But have you seen examples where it has gone in the direction of less compliance?
In terms of less compliant, no, I haven't seen that. What I've seen is a lot of case law and examples where an organisation hasn't provided a safe system of work. People have been seriously hurt or killed and they have been prosecuted, successfully prosecuted for not doing that. So I think there's a very good argument for using HOP to become more legally compliant and ensure a safer workplace.
But going back to our initial statements of, you need the foundation or is it a need and how can I put it? It would be better to have HP within the organization than transition to HOP. But if you have an organization where there's no systems in place and accidents are occurring, where's the starting point there really?
Yeah, so I do work with organisations that don't have a safety management system at all, right? So I'm not going to say to them, let's go do HOP now when you don't even have a safety management system. You know, they're very low level, very low maturity. So I do think an organisation needs to have an existing level of maturity before they do HP or HOP or whatever they're going to do. You need some systems in place, I think.
And seeing that we have the technology conference aside of this, along with AmCham, where do you see technology playing a role in improving these systems, if at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's not a question I'm quite well versed to answer, Jamal, but I do know that, AI, virtual learning, I think the safety industry really needs to embrace technology. Maybe that will be the theme of next year's conference.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's a really good question to ask and something that we all as safety professionals should be asking, and leaning into that question. Are you using any technology in your organization, Jamal?
For sure, we have been working on digitization, going paperless. AI is a significant part of our business model now, led by our CEO, where a lot of our operations are digitalized, and we're using AI now to streamline operations.
Great.
And I've started doing research as to how that could be integrated into the HSE department as well. So
Excellent.
definitely, we have to move with the times and the trends, yeah?
Yeah, we have to, right? And I think if we don't, we're going to be left behind. So I think organizations should look at HOP, should look at technology, and just keep asking, how can we do better? What's out there that's going to help us be better and do better?
And how important is psychological safety in the space of HP and HOP?
So psychological safety underpins the success of HOP. More organisations, especially in Australia, we've got much more focus now on psychological safety. I don't know if that's the same in Trinidad. We now have codes of practice that, puts the obligation on the employer to manage psychosocial risk. So it's becoming very topical, extremely important. I mean, without it, how will we do these things like learning teams and work insights and decluttering? We must have strong psychological safety. It's so good that globally we're talking about this more.
So you're saying that in Australia, from a legal framework, come down, yes?
Yeah.
In a country like Trinidad, where it's not ingrained in our legal framework, do you still see an appetite for accepting psychological safety and the concept of HOP and HOP?
I think so, because HOP is taking a human-centered approach, and at the center of that is psychological safety. So regardless of whether you have it coming down at you from a legislative perspective, I think organisations still realise the benefit. They realise that this is a good thing to do. We want people coming to work, so work is good for people. We want to support those who have mental ill health, but those who have good mental health. So we have 1 in 5 with bad, mental ill health. We want to stop them. We want to stop the 4 in 5. We want to focus on both to stop the 4 in 5 having mental ill health.
Yeah.
So becoming an organisation that supports good mental health, supports those with mental ill health, good psychological safety, management of psychosocial risks, using the hierarchy of control to manage psychosocial risks. That's where we're heading. I think it's fantastic that we're asking those questions.
Nice. Well, Kym, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Jamal.
With you.
It was lovely speaking to you too.
You enjoy your time in Trinidad?
I'll go enjoy my lunch.
Nice.
Thanks, Jamal.